So I think we are unique in that we're a boutique firm of about 20 people. And so what that means is we're a very flat organization where even our most junior design staff sit in and participate in some of the bigger decisions, both on projects and in the direction of the firm. So everyone's involved really from day one in participating both in project design, but also kind of knowing where we are as a business and what our goals and objectives are. At our size of firm of about 20 people, we're looking for people who are really resourceful and really curious. So we're always going to need someone to go one or two steps past what I think a larger, more structured firm would ask of them. And so people who are just really curious about the projects they're working on, a particular detail, a material they've never used before, those are the sort of things that are really going to make them successful in a medium-sized firm. So I think it has allowed us to cast a slightly wider net. So we are a hybrid work environment where people are in the office some percentage of days of the week. We have just begun to think that through and wonder, like, can we work with fully remote staff if that means that we can cast a wider net for talent? And that's really important for us as we're looking for sort of talent over potentially geographic location. So we're willing to entertain that these days, which is something we wouldn't have done 2 or 3 years ago. We do not have any full-time remote staff at this time, but we've talked to a number of people looking for that right first fit. So I think what makes our firm unique is sort of the flat organization of it, that on every project you'll be working with the design principal, you'll sit in every client meeting, and we'll participate in a way that I think a lot of other firms don't offer, at least especially to very young staff. We do that strategically to allow for people to, for us to get to know them quickly. Again, we want to get to know what everyone's strengths and weaknesses are way ahead of maybe what other sort of training or mentorship programs look like in a firm. When I look at portfolios, the first thing I'm looking for is, does a prospective job seeker know what the best image of their project is? So I'm always looking at the very first image for a project and saying, yes, is it beautiful, is it well crafted, but also, is this the image that explains the whole project in one go? And I think not all those things align. So there are people who undoubtedly do amazing renderings and beautiful drawings, but if it's not also communicative and sums up the project in that one image, it's something that I sort of say, oh, that's, you got to know what the best way to communicate your particular project is. And I think maybe what I'm also looking for is representation, either techniques or things like AI generation, where it's like I'm interested in people who are bringing those skills as well to a firm, because schools are really the breeding ground for that new use of representation. We don't have as much room to experiment with that in a firm, so anyone who brings that to the table is someone who stands out, definitely. So I think being a small firm, we don't quite have the ability to offer any and all either rendering engine, software. Like, we're not going to be able to say, yes, we can do sort of, we can provide whatever software someone needs. So we are looking for people who fit in a box in that way through some of the more standard tools, whether that be with Revit, Enscape, and really kind of conventional drawing and rendering tools. So I think that limits us as a small firm, but at the same time, being here, walking the floor, there are a bunch of really interesting sort of low-cost software that's really beginning to change the way we think about that. I think we are really well known for our adaptive reuse projects. In the city of Detroit, it's incredibly difficult to get new construction done on a very cost-effective basis. And we've often found that even the most dilapidated building can be saved, and it actually is cheaper to do that. And so the way that then feeds into our new construction work is that context is everything. The existing fabric of the city, what are the materials being used? Those are the things that are most important to us, is what exists, whether it be urbanistically, architecturally, culturally, in the place where we're going to design a building. I think the most important piece of advice is to think about the culture of the kind of firm you want to be at. Firms are, sometimes that breaks down by size of firm, but I think every firm has its own unique culture, and finding the place where you feel comfortable to extend yourself, to potentially make a mistake, that's the place where you're going to succeed, where you feel comfortable enough to sort of take some risks. I think in sort of post-pandemic hybrid work environment, one of the pieces of advice I would give is there are way fewer sort of high leverage opportunities to make an impression among both your colleagues as well as your principals or your clients. Make sure you understand that, in that Teams meeting on Zoom, there's not an opportunity for you to sort of shine as much as being in the office every day. So treat those moments with, I think, a little more preparation, because there's just fewer of them now than there were 3 years ago. I think, especially being prepared and surprising someone with the content. So I think there's a lot of meetings that happen kind of on a weekly basis, a progress basis, like we're looking at progress updates. And to go further than what you're expected is a way that someone will notice and remember every time. So people want to work at Macintosh Porous because they see all aspects of the project from beginning to end. They get to participate on both the client and design side, but they also get to participate in our sort of committees that have to do with improving our drawing standards, searching for new technology, and there's no set role that you'll sort of get stuck in. We're looking for people who want to live in Detroit and work there for the next 20 years. And so we treat even our most junior staff as someone who is going to be there long term.